Born in 1917, Howard Stark worked his way up from being the poor son of working-class parents to an inventor and industrialist earning fame and millions of dollars before the age of 25. A brilliant young man growing up in the Lower East Side of New York City, he saw that people in the lower classes had little opportunity for success through honest work, and so learned to lie and manipulate, becoming a savvy businessman to make his fortune. In 1939, he founded Stark Industries, a technology company primarily focused on weapons research and production, supplying the American government throughout the Second World War and beyond. Howard Stark also developed a personal working relationship with the government, joining the Manhattan Project and the Strategic Scientific Reserve. In 1943, Stark worked with Abraham Erskine on a super soldier serum, which turned Steve Rogers into the superhero Captain America, who used a near indestructible shield made out of a rare metal found in Africa known as vibranium. However, they were not able to reproduce the results of the super soldier serum, as Abraham Erskine was assassinated by an agent of Hydra. After the war, the Strategic Scientific Reserve became an espionage agency called S.H.I.E.L.D., with Howard Stark serving on the Leadership Council, and as a result, his deep ties to the government remained throughout his life, with Stark Industries becoming the nation's biggest supplier of weapons and advanced technologies. In 1946, Stark Industries hired Anton Vanko, a Russian scientist who eventually rose to work directly with Howard Stark, helping him study the Tesseract, an ancient artifact of immense power that had been in the possession of the Hydra leader Red Skull before he was defeated. However, the project soon suffered a setback, as Stark accused Anton Vanko of trying to sell this new technology to the Soviet Union, resulting in his termination and deportation back to Russia. As a result, Anton Vanko died in poverty, and his son Ivan developed an unyielding hatred for the man who betrayed his father. Although Howard Stark had envisioned the arc reactor to be a clean source of energy to replace nuclear power, he was limited by the technology of his day, and so stored the work away in the hopes that his son, who was being groomed to take over Stark Industries, might one day complete the project. To help Howard Stark run this ever-growing corporate power, he had Obadiah Stane, his friend and second-in-command, who was with him from the beginning, contributing to much of their earliest work. Unfortunately, Stark's long years working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and the government made him many enemies, including the people of Hydra, who sent a mind-controlled agent called the Winter Soldier to assassinate him and his wife in 1991. Obadiah Stane then became interim CEO of Stark Industries, taking over the business until Tony Stark was old enough to take his father's place. Growing to enjoy the fame and adulation that came with being the leader of Stark Industries, Stane resented returning to a lower position when Tony Stark, a brilliant scientist and inventor in his own right, came of age. And so in the late 2000s, Obadiah Stane hired the terrorist organization Ten Rings to kill Stark while on a business trip to Afghanistan. Although Tony was badly injured in the attack, Dr. Ho Yinsin, another of their captives, built a small device combining an electromagnet with a car battery and surgically implanted it in Tony's chest to stop the shrapnel from doing further damage near his heart. For a time, this saved him, but Tony quickly realized he needed a more long-term source of power for the device, and so created a mini version of the arc reactor, developed by his father and Anton Vanko. In order to defeat their jailers, they then built a battlesuit powered by the arc reactor. However, Dr. Yinsin had to sacrifice himself to give Tony Stark the necessary time to complete his work so he could escape. Deeply moved by the man's death, his first major announcement after returning to America was that Stark Industries would no longer manufacture weapons of war. Given the enormous financial cost this would have to Stark Industries, Obadiah Stane used it as evidence in his continued attempt to take over the company, even developing his own battle armor based on the materials recovered from Afghanistan. Eventually, Stark, wearing what came to be known as the Iron Man suit, fought and defeated Stane in his Ironmonger suit, protecting his place as CEO of Stark Industries and moving the company in a new direction away from weapons manufacturing and towards clean energy and other advanced technologies. He initiated this new phase by bringing back Stark Expo, a wildly popular exhibition for the latest tech made famous by his father. Unfortunately, this then became the scene of yet another superhero battle when Ivan Vanko, also known as Whiplash, hijacked Hammer Industry drones, though he was ultimately defeated by Iron Man and his friend War Machine, both wearing suits developed by Stark Industries. After these events, Tony realized his personal projects and duties as a superhero left him little time for the company, and so named his trusted friend and personal assistant Pepper Potts as the new CEO. Under her leadership, Stark Industries continued to thrive, with the newly built Stark Tower in New York City entirely powered by the arc reactor, serving as their headquarters, while hiring Tony's former bodyguard, Happy Hogan, as their chief of security. With Stark Industries continuing ties to the government, Iron Man, and other superheroes like the Avengers, they gained access to previously unknown technologies from other worlds, even creating their own division responsible for cleaning up after large-scale battles and alien attacks. As a result, civilian groups like the Toomes Salvage Company lost their city contracts, putting many out of work. Furious over the loss of their employment and the biggest contract they ever had, Adrian Toomes turned to a life of crime, selling weapons made from the alien technology they had already salvaged, while harboring great resentment and hatred towards Stark Industries. With the business doing well under its new leadership, Tony Stark continued to develop Jarvis, an artificial intelligence system so sophisticated it was used to help create a new system known as Ultron. This new AI program was originally designed as a peacekeeping force, though it quickly turned on its creators and wreaked havoc against the Avengers. Ultron was aided by Pietro and Wanda Maximoff, twins who held deep hatred for Stark Industries, which manufactured the weapons that killed their family. And so to seek revenge, they volunteered for Hydra experiments, which used the Mind Stone from Loki's scepter to turn Wanda into Scarlet Witch, able to manipulate energy with her mind, while Pietro became Quicksilver, gaining super speed. Yet in the end, when they learned Ultron was planning to wipe out most of humanity, they turned against him and joined the Avengers. Meanwhile, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner decided to use Jarvis to help create yet another super being named Vision, who was powered by the Mind Stone and played a pivotal role in defeating Ultron in the Battle of Sokovia. With the introduction of alien technology and access to unique items like the Tesseract and Mind Stone, Stark Industries made massive technological improvements within a decade of the Battle of New York, even beginning to work with nanotechnology to create a new Iron Man suit as well as an Iron Spider suit for Peter Parker during the War for the Infinity Stones. Do your shopping on Amazon? Then why not check out the Civilization X store page, linked in the description box below, where you can browse through recommended fantasy and science fiction books, audiobooks, movies, TV shows, and more. Or else you can always use the Canadian, American, and UK Amazon links, where you support the channel with every purchase at no extra cost to you. So if you do your shopping on Amazon anyway, why not use the link below and help support Civilization X? A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Ryanon, Grandmaster Pupper of the Took, Mevel, and Honir the Dead Raven. If you'd like to help Civilization X, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and click on the links to see more.